Hello everybody and welcome to another Premodern video. We're going to be looking at a wild take on a classic deck that a lot of people love and just as many people hate. So without further ado, let's look into one of the craziest versions of Dreadnought. Here it is. This list comes to you from Celestial Heathen, aka James. What James did is he grabbed blue-green Dreadnought and he took it for a completely new spin that I had not seen before. This list looks wild. We're using green mana, the green splash, in order to get access to Worldly Tutor, and Sylvan Safekeeper as a great way to protect our Dreadnoughts, which I honestly hadn't even thought about. Every single previous list that I had seen was playing green for Nimble Mongoose and cards like that, while this list, it does the entire opposite thing. We are now making it much easier for our Dreadnoughts to connect, instead of trying to go for an alternate creature game plan. We still have a little bit of that alternate creature going on thanks to the one of Tempting Worm. We have another one in the sideboard, by the way. Worldly Tutor is going to help us find any of these pieces. And then what this deck is doing is he's actually leveraging Sylvan Library. Sylvan Library, we don't have any ways to fetch, but it's a fantastic card. We can reset it with either Impulse or Portent. We can move things around thanks to Opt and Flash of Insight. And also in a pinch, we can mill ourselves for 4 in order to reset and get new looks with Library, which is kind of cute. Obviously, the Tutor as well shuffles things away. We have 10 green sources, but everything besides the one of Basic Forest taps for blue mana, so we can cast Counterspell fairly reliably. But we still have a mana leak because you will notice that there's no foils here. The reason is because we don't have enough islands to support Gush, and that also makes things really tricky. We only have 2 daces because of the same reason. But this version is going to be a lot more aggressive and a lot more streamlined than your average Dreadnought deck. Kind of like an old school approach in terms of trying to go all in on a quick Dreadnought basically 100% of the time. In the sideboard, we have some creatures that we are seeing in here. All of these are just very clean one-offs that we can go with World Tutor, but I didn't want to go too deep into the Tutor package idea, so we only have Gilded Drake. Notably, we have 1 Waterfront Bouncer. This one here is mostly for Meddling Mage. That is the card that I wanted to make sure that we have an answer to, because otherwise we didn't really have any other answers to it. That's why we have the Power Kicks is here, by the way, as well. And then another copy of Tempting Worm, which can be fantastic against decks like the burn deck, stuff like Stasis and whatnot. Then we're going to have a Cursed Totem and a split between Annul and Naturalize. The reason for this is that we actually don't have Gush, so Parallax Tide can be very problematic for us, and Annul is basically the only way in the entire format to deal with Parallax Tide. Obviously, Counterspell, whatever, but Naturalize is not particularly great against Parallax Tide. Then we have 1 each of Hydroblast and Blue Elemental Blast, Flash of Insight number 3, which is fantastic, a card that has started to see a lot more play since the mono blue version of Dreadnought showed up, and I think it's absolutely incredible. 2 copies of Liber. This card is very cool. I have been impressed by it whenever it has been played against me against the Ponza side. This is very interesting. It's basically a misdirection, but at 1 mana, because again, we don't really have that many ways of having card advantage, so I feel like the mana is going to be less costly than pitching a card. Maybe this should be a misdirection instead, because we don't have foils. We don't have as much card disadvantage. In fact, I'm going to do a split of 1 and 1. Boom! Fixed! So yeah, without having played any matches with the deck, I don't know which one's going to be better, but I kind of want to try out 2 copies of this effect. So let's go with 1 and 1 to split the difference a little bit and see which one works out better in this particular list. That's going to be it for the deck tech. If you are enjoying the content, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you for round number 1. And just before we start, I wanted to let you know that my content would always be free, but if you would like to support me, you can do so through Patreon, or if you're interested in me playing any deck list like this one, for example, you can find all the information in the description of the video down below or up there in terms of my Patreon link. This hand looks like a little bit sketchy, so I'm just going to mulligan. This could be good if we knew that we were getting Paradise again against Burn, because we could go turn 1 land, turn 2 Paradise, Tempting Worm, and just start beating down. But I'm going to ship it. And this hand looks, I guess, a little bit better. I think I like this, so let's keep. We're going to bottom. I guess I want to bottom Safekeeper on the blind. Let's see what we're getting paired against. Mox Diamond, Peach Wasteland, Play Out Wasteland. Here's an island, so let's portent myself. Obviously, we're going to be looking for a Phyrexian Dreadnought here. That's an interesting set of cards. Yeah, I think I want these. So let's go. I think I want to draw the Flash of Insight, then the island, then the library. Because I don't think I'm going to be playing the library on the next turn. Unless I want my opponent to wasteland me, which I kind of do because I have Daze. Yeah, okay, I sold it. So I'm gonna go Flash of Insight, Island, Sylvan Library, no shuffle. So this coming turn, I'm just going to, I guess if my opponent plays something I want to daze, I'm gonna daze something, but I'm gonna play out City of Brass, I guess. Opponent fetches. Let's see what we're up against. Winter's Grass. Okay, so we're just gonna daze that for obvious reasons. So now we're going to draw our island, stack this card the opposite way, but it's fine. Like I'm going to probably need an extra island against. It looks like this is just green-white TerraOath. Thermal cars. Yeah, let's. I guess I don't want to opt because I do want to draw the other card, and I can always opt something away. So I do think I still want the Flash of Insight. Another LD spell is kind of brutal. Okay, we found another land. We're gonna keep this party going. Eventually, my opponent's gonna get tired of this, I assume. Pass the turn. Looks like not yet. Oof. This is brutal. Okay. I'm gonna play my land, and I'm going to, I guess, stifle the wasteland activation. Stifle right now. This is gonna force the use of the other wasteland, which is pretty rough. But again, this is, usually thermal cards are pretty bad cards against Dreadnought, but specifically the version of Dreadnought that we are playing actually gets hurt pretty badly. We don't really have as many ways to circumvent the effect. Okay, here's a Safekeeper. Maybe I should just hang out here and just not do anything, honestly, in case my opponent draws another wasteland, but it's more likely for them to find another LD effect, which I wouldn't be able to do anything about. Here I'll just let the Source to Plowshares resolve. That still did its job, because that's a Source to Plowshare that does not go towards my Dreadnought, so it's kind of fine. Nature's Factory attacks. No LD spell is good for me. Oath of Druids. So let's play out a library, pass the turn back. Opponent gets his there with the factory. Oath is kind of annoying. It puts me in a situation where I really want to find specifically Vision Charm. Yep, so I'm gonna top this and I'm gonna play, I guess I'm gonna pay for the City of Brass, then play a land and pass the turn. So the Worldly Tutor on top of my deck is a dead card, so I'm going to cast Impulse this turn so I can shuffle it away. More LD, huh? So let's Impulse here, looking for Vision Charm. We could stifle this, but I think if this is stifle, it's going to be more relevant by stopping an Oath trigger. So I think this is fine. There's the Vision Charm we're looking for. Perfect. There, the factory's coming up. This means my opponent's tapped out, which is obviously quite nice. Let's see what we find off the top. Looking for a land here. Perfect. Play a land, play Dreadnought, Vision Charm, and send the turn back. Unfortunately, we don't really have the time to play around stuff, so we're not going to play around Naturalize. I think my opponent would need to have drawn it immediately right here, because otherwise they would have used it already. So we are firmly in a little bit of a YOLO spot right here, where if my opponent has it, then we die. Thermal Karst is fine. We'll see whether they have the Source to Plowshares or Naturalize or whatever it is. Looks like Source to Plowshares. So the nice thing about this, at least, is that we get some extra look, which is cool. That's an Impulse. I think I'm going to keep the land, and then we can use Impulse to reset the top of the deck. So we're going to swing for 12. My opponent obviously does not have the removal spell, and now Oath is going to do its thing. We're going to stifle the trigger. And then we're going to hope that my opponent doesn't have it. We're very all in here, but again, like, this is the nature of this version of the deck. We are very, very all in, and if our opponent has it, we are just very dead. Okay, so they have Source to Plowshares. We could potentially assemble the combo again, and this Flash of Insight is going to be pretty good at enabling that, which is nice. Let's see what the top of the deck yields. Interesting. So I guess what I can do is I can go put Impulse on top and then Portent on top. And what we're going to do is we're going to play a land, then we're going to flash for 1 just to get this in the graveyard, and then we're going to Portent ourselves. Dreadnought Stifle? Yeah, this seems okay. So let's draw Dreadnought Stifle. We're not going to use it immediately because we still need a way to deal with this Oath of Druid trigger, but we're going to use Flash of Insight to find one more piece of the puzzle. This is going to be down to 15. And then we're gonna go at it again. Here's a Dreadnought. If we find Vision Charm, we're gonna be in really good shape. Not quite. We can, however, I guess, pay and go Impulse. I think I like this because we only need 1 attack. So we can pay 4 here, send the turn. So now we're going to take 5. Oh, that changes the math. That's messed up, actually. So let's Impulse. Actually, I can't Impulse. I need to Flash because Flash looks deeper. I guess what I could do is I could go get another Stifle. If I get another Stifle, then I can just block the treetop village. So I guess this is fine. So we're looking for specifically stifle number 4. Just not great, but it is what it is. Oh, we can vision charm and attack in factory. That's another way to work around this. That's cool. Yeah, we'll see how this goes. Gonna impulse. I guess we'd rather have an island than all the other cards. And now we're going to flash for the full amount. Flash for 9. There's the last stifle. And now I don't think the bottom of my deck is going to matter, because this is going to be done in the following turn. We would love to find counterspell. We don't. We're not going to have any more lands. Here's a Dreadnought. Stifle. And now we're going to stifle the Oath trigger, putting my opponent in a situation where if they attack with both, we just block the treetop and go to 1 and then swing back for lethal. By the thinnest of margins. Obviously, assuming my opponent doesn't rip a Swords to Plowshare / Naturalize, right? So I guess they can block with everything, and I need to find Vision Charm now. Okay, so I can't cast this Worldly Tutor, and then the Oath trigger is gonna kill me. So I guess I need to find Vision Charm, but I need to, yeah, no, because I need to pay the life down to 1, then I can't cast the Worldly Tutor. Yeah, this is just very messy. So I think my opponent's got me here, unfortunately. I think I've been got. So my opponent's going to block with everything so that they don't die. And then the Oath is going to yield a very, very large Terravore, which is going to be good enough to get me very dead, because it's just going to be larger than my Phyrexian Dreadnought. It was kind of a fun game. There's nothing I can draw, so I might as well find a land so I have a painless source. But now we're out of stifles, so this is going to be a big boy. 14-14? Oh yeah, that's, I was thinking. that was already a 14-14. Now it's a 24-24. That's probably a little bit too much. Don't really have any outs here, so we're just going to be bucking things in. That was a pretty exciting game, down to the wire. These cards though are going to do some work. So I want Naturalizes, I want Misdirection, Divert, and I think that's it. Obviously don't want the Tempting Worm. Safekeeper seems reasonable. I do like Worldly Tutors. Daces are fine. Guess I can. Counterspells are kind of sketchy. Do I want Flash of Insight? Maybe just the 1. It's just a little bit too mana intensive, unfortunately. Safekeeper is weird. I think I want it, but it's very weird because it turns on my opponent's oaths. I do like Library, even though we drew 2 in that game and the redundant 1 ended up costing us. It's nice that Bouncer gives us like a redundant way to cash in our libraries. That aspect is cool. So this is very unfortunate. MTGO crashed and then it messed up my Cyberding, like it canceled my Cyberding. So I tried to put it back together really quickly and I only did to an extent. So I have 62 cards here. This hand is good though. So maybe we won't go super punished about it. Pass the turn. Pretty fine hand. Opponent kept 7, which is not where you want to be, sure. Opponent leads on Mox Diamond. Turn 1 Sphere. That's a lot. Worldly Tutor, not it. Okay, go with Portent. I don't think these are going to be good enough, so I'm just going to shuffle here. I'm looking for Naturalize, obviously. Counterspell. Almost a Naturalize. Yeah, that Wasteland's pretty rough. Now they're going to get to port. Play a land, say go. This game's not looking great for us. I need to continue hitting land drops. One thing to keep in mind here is that we can Vision Charm the Sphere. I think we're going to opt here looking for a land, which sucks because this means that we're going to be bouncing our Undiscovered Paradise. So we're still not really making too much progress. It looks like here comes Land Destruction effect, and Misdirection would be sick. Ooh, Terror. Okay, that's a big draw. So we're going to pass the turn. We're going to see what my opponent does here. That's quite aggressive. So end step, we will Naturalize. And now we get to play a game. So now they port, island, I will take. Play a land, play Dreadnought, Vision Charm. And now we're going to have double Counterspell. My opponent's going to swing for 6. I have double Counterspell up. Oh, they have Factory. Oh, they can just race me. Oh, this is brutal. Yeah, this Terror is just going to kill me before I get a chance to kill them. So now my opponent swings for a bunch. I go down to 5. If I swing for 12... Man, this is so awkward because I'm going to be throwing Stifles away. Because my opponent simply activates Treetop, I stifle the Treetop to not lose. And then they just don't attack, they just pass the turn back. So I think here I need for my opponent to make a mistake. So how can I force them to, or how can I lead them into a mistake? Is there anything that I can do? I guess I just needed to stifle last turn and just hope that my opponent didn't have it. So I think I just have to pass the turn and just have my opponent make a mistake here. Because if I attack, then I'm just dead on board. Pretty unfortunate that my sideboarding got undone. I tried to do it very quickly, but did not quite succeed, unfortunately. This is quite literally exactly what I need to happen, which is my opponent just thinks about this a little bit too much. And potentially opens up a window for me to find something. So this is great. Like, this is exactly what needed to happen. My opponent's allowing me to use my mana in a situation where I shouldn't be able to. But the problem is this, right? Like, now my opponent needs to make another mistake again. So I'm not necessarily getting any closer, you know, I'm not really pulling forward. Now we find ourselves exactly in the same spot as before, except another turn has gone by. That's a huge pickup though. So let's just play a Waterfront Bouncer and pass the turn. Obviously my opponent can just, you know, top deck a Disenchant or Swords to Plowshares or whatever, and the game ends on the spot. But we are at least playing to outs here. Oath of Druids, yes, yes, okay, all right. So that we're just gonna let go. Then if they tap, okay. So now when they tap here, I'm just going to bounce the Terravor, pitch in Mana Leak. Now we swing for 12. We are going to let the Oath trigger resolve. And then we're going to stifle the Treetop Village activation so we don't die. And then Waterfront Bouncer, return the Terravor to my opponent's hand. Stifle Treetop Village activation. They also tapped using their second green source. So now they can't recast the Terravor nor activate Treetop Village again. Ah, they have Seal of Cleansing. No! Ah, that's so brutal. Their only unknown card is Seal of Cleansing. Absolutely devastating. My opponent should do this, I guess, on my upkeep. What they can do is they can just tap my land right now so that I cannot stifle the Seal of Cleansing activation. I feel like they should just let this go now. Yeah, they have to. They should have probably tapped my island, because now if I have, like, I know their last card is Terravor, and if I have a Stifle in my hand, they just lose the game. So that may have been like a little bit of a mistake from them. But yeah, I can't really punish them. I don't think I have outs anymore, because I need to discard this Flash on Finside. Unfortunately, I drew it exactly on a turn where I could not discard it. Maybe I made a mistake. I honestly cannot remember if I had it. Oh no, because I had to activate the Waterfront Bouncer in my own upkeep, that's why. And then I drew it for the turn. So yeah, I drew it at a point where the Bouncer was already tapped, which makes this very, very awkward. It's also really unfortunate that they had Seal of Cleansing as opposed to Swords to Plowshares, because Swords to Plowshares at least would have given me 12 life to work with, and then I could reassess from there. From here, if I spend 1 mana to bounce this, then if I flash, I don't really have anything else. So I can't really draw into a Drake, because I'm not going to have enough mana. Also, this was tapped, so I couldn't just bounce my own Bouncer hoping to find a Gilded Drake. That would have been sweet. Just bounce my own Bouncer and then hope that I Oath into a Drake and they steal the Terravor. That would have been pretty hilarious. But unfortunately, as is, I think that I'm beat with my opponent having both treetops. Yeah. So I'm gonna, I guess, attempt to do the same thing where I just hope that my opponent somehow makes a mistake here. But this one's gonna be a lot harder for them to mess up. There goes the factory. Here I just die exactly. So I chump block, bounce Terravor, and still die exactly. Unfortunate. GG's. That was kind of an exciting match though, to be honest. Alright, see you for the next one. Round number 2 after a very exciting round 1. This hand is very interesting. I think I'm gonna keep it. And the reason for that is that we have 7 combo pieces that we're looking for. If we just had the 4 Dreadnoughts, then I would probably just be shipping this. But the fact that we actually can find any of our tutors to assemble the missing half of the combo, especially with all of these cantrips, I think I'm interested in keeping this and see what's up. Basic Forest into Tanglewire. I mean, I'm not super scared of a Tanglewire in the... Okay, yeah, I'm gonna keep that on top. The reason to keep this is that's a random thing to play for the Tanglewire. Also, I'm not super scared of this Tanglewire when my opponent has an empty board. Like, this wire is not really doing anything. I'm totally okay with this. Now in this coming upkeep, I get to Impulse. My opponent is time walking themselves here. I could look for a Dreadnought, but honestly, I don't have to. I think I can just Impulse here, see what I find, take Vision Charm as a protection spell for the Dreadnought, and now I can get the Dreadnought this turn. Oh, another Safekeeper? Yeah, this is perfect. So now we have another random creature to tap to the wire. We're gonna have 2 mana for our turn. We can even Flash of Insight for 1 to make sure we hit our land drop. This was not the best Tangle Wire I've ever seen, I'm gonna say that much. This is why I'm so skeptical about this card. Like, sometimes it's fantastic, and sometimes it's just like, just doesn't do anything. Like here, this turn we get to upkeep, tap both of our dudes, upkeep Worldly Tutor, get Dreadnought, just Dreadnought Vision Charm. Although I guess it's just better to... Is it better to Dreadnought Stifle? I guess I have enough time. I'm just gonna tap both of my creatures, and I don't really have to do any... Okay, there we go. Good thing. Yeah, let's do this. So, Stifle. Oh, I just remember that I can literally just sack lands to protect this Dreadnought because I have double Safekeeper in play. This is sick. If my opponent does have something like Main Deck Powder Keg, I'm gonna be in a world of hurt. But if they don't, then this deck just... Oh, this is the mono green deck that top 8'd the Duress Crew event. Yeah, this deck looks sick. No need for casting Tutor here. So I'm just going to tap my Safekeeper and then tap. Okay, that's game. 12, yeah. Even second Tangle Wire doesn't do anything. Naturalize doubly doesn't do anything. This matchup seems extremely good for us. So this is a matchup where I do not want Tempting Worm, let me tell you that much. Do we want... Yeah, we definitely want Divert and Misdirection. This seems very good in the face of Naturalizes. I think I want Waterfront Bouncer, but I don't think I want Gilded Drake. Misdirection, Bouncer, cut the Tempting Worm. Bring in Divert, probably Naturalizes, but not at all. Let's cut one of these, cut the Daces on the draw. Safekeeper seems very good here in the face of all of these wires and nonsense. And I want to try to be pretty focused on getting Dreadnought, so the Worldly Tutor seems fine. Let's just cut the library and aim for a shorter match. Let's see what my opponent has going on. This hand seems very reasonable. I'm going to keep this and we're going to be searching for a land here. Something tells me this Waterfront Bouncer is going to do work. Opponent mull to 5. Turn 1 Elf. Any land is very welcome. I mean, I really want this Safekeeper, but I really don't want this Worldly Tutor. So I think I'm just going to shuffle because I cannot afford to draw the Tutor, I think. Also, I don't really have the green mana for the little guy anyway, so Redundant Dreadnought, not great. But it's something that I can pitch to Waterfront Bouncer, which is cool. You just pass the turn, do nothing. Okay, well, I'm gonna play a Bouncer, send the turn back. Blastoderm, you got it. I'm gonna pass the turn here. I don't really care about this Blastoderm because it's just gonna die. So I'm gonna take 15 from this Blastoderm, and then it's just gonna go away. So I'm not super concerned about it. So I'm just waiting until next turn where I can just play a Dreadnought and then just hold up Mana Leak / Counterspell. I could return the Elf on end step. Tangle Wire. Okay. Just Mana Leak this. Elvish Spirit Guide and pay? Wow. So I guess I'm just going to bounce the Llanowar Elf, pitching this Dreadnought. Again, this Tangle Wire is not doing anything. So this is fine. Play an island, I guess. Send the turn back. Now they're gonna tap Wire and some other things. We know they don't have any more cards. Wild Growth. Okay. So that means they don't really have anything going on. Take 5. Gonna tap 3 here. 1, 2, and 3. Play a land. Sure. I guess we can speed up this process now. We're gonna Stifle, and I'm gonna use Vision Charm as protection. I know this Blastoderm's gonna die. Call of the Herd. That plays surprisingly well into my into my onboard Waterfront Bouncer. So let's tap 2 lands. Swing for 12. Opponent probably gonna chump block here. With my opponent on 0 cards and us having 2 layers of protection, I think that we are pretty much locked up here. Because I might as well bounce this. If they want to spend their entire turn to flashback Call of the Herd, it's totally fine. Bailoff. Yeah, that doesn't change the math. So I'm just going to let it resolve. It just doesn't do anything. Here I'm just going to tap the Forest. So that locks the game up. Play Safekeeper. Now I don't have to counter basically anything. And this Wires expires. Shout out to Premodern's best Merfolk. I do wonder how the hell did they arrive at this being a Merfolk. Doesn't look like a Merfolk at all. He's beefy though. All right, there we go. 2-0. That was fun. This matchup looks like it's just very, very in our favor, especially with Safekeeper. Like, it just makes Naturalize and Crumble just like not do anything. See you for the next round. Round number 3. This hand needs land, and that's it. So we have 1 cantrip, which is fine. So this is looking alright. Oh, there we go. Easy game. Basic Forest. Green, white, Enchantress. Let's opt here. Bottom that one. Counterspell. So I guess I'm just gonna Dreadnought here with Vision Charm. This way we are protected from Swords to Plowshares, from Seal of Cleansing thanks to the Stifle. Only card we don't really want to see is the Lock Piece. Very strong hand from my opponent. If we had been on the play, I think we win this game very easily, but the fact that my opponent was on the play puts them at a pretty massive advantage here. Gazillions of mana at this point. Hopefully no Solitary Confinement here. Elephant Grass. Pretty rough. We really want to find a land here. Okay, that'll do. So let's serve for 12 and we're gonna pass the turn. We can beat Seal of Cleansing. We cannot beat Solitary Confinement though. They pay for the upkeep. So one of the cards is a land. That's good for us. Swords to Plowshares. And they have a presence. Yeah, that's gross. So I'm gonna have to tutor into another Dreadnought, I guess. I think I'm gonna portent them because I'm not really looking for anything, but okay, so I can give them. So we're gonna go Wave, Swords, Replenish, no shuffle. And then I'm gonna hope that they don't have it. So they're gonna draw Replenish, and if they don't have any enchantments in hand somehow, I'm going to win. And if they have any enchantments at all, I'm just gonna concede. Ha! The portent bluff does it. That was kind of insane, not gonna lie. Let's bring in these. Let's bring in Naturalizes. And I guess Flash of Insight. So I kind of want Misdirection. This can steal Wild Growths, which could be pretty backbreaking. It's definitely not a Tempting Worm matchup. Probably not a Daze matchup on the draw. But Misdirection is super interesting. So I think we're gonna cut some Tutors. I guess I'm on the draw. So let's go 2-2 split on Library and Tutor. And then we want more libraries on the play. Man, Misdirection seems really interesting to me. The problem is if I don't have it in my opening hand, then it's gonna suck. So I guess never mind. Because it's not like I can redirect my opponent's Swords to Plowshares. We're on the draw. We have double Vision Charm, which is very nice. I think I keep this. Not super sold on it, but I think it's good enough to keep. Obviously, if my opponent plays Enchantress on turn 2, that's going to be very problematic. They should be able to very quickly run away with the game if that's the case. Mull to 6. Opponent correctly fetches main phase to play around Stifle effects. Wild Growth. I mean, look at that. Couldn't even misdirect that if I wanted to. There's the Enchantress. Oh, I don't think I want Naturalize. I kind of want a quick Dreadnought here. Stifle is an interesting one. My opponent notably did not fetch last turn. I think I'm gonna Stifle this if my opponent gives me the chance to. That way we can mess with their colored mana. And it worked. Perfect. Here's a land. Pass the turn. Can't mess with that one, unfortunately. And here's when everything's gonna get unlocked. Choke. Trying to think whether I'd rather counterspell this or annul this. I think I'd rather annul it. Very unfortunate because I cannot flash now. But yeah, this time around I'm not gonna portent them. None of those really do anything, so I'm just gonna shuffle. Another Vision Charm. It's not super exciting, unfortunately. Second Enchantress must be countered. Good attack from my opponent. Good stuff, good stuff. Untap. Main phase Impulse. Well, I think with Mana Leak here, I need to have an answer to something that my opponent could throw at me, especially if it's another draw effect. Yep, I must counter that. That's a land. Send the turn back. So I guess we're just gonna double flash here. Seal of Cleansing is pretty rough, but it's okay. I have Vision Charm for that, so just do this for 1. That's a Dreadnought, perfect. And now we're just going to do this for a bunch. And this is super interesting. So I can get Naturalized to blow up the Seal of Cleansing first, or I can just get a Dreadnought and just Vision Charm a bunch. I think I'd rather get Stifle, I guess. Yeah, because this means I get to clear everything. So let's get... We're probably not gonna make it all the way down there, but we at least know what we're not drawing. So untap, play my land, play Dreadnought, Stifle, and Vision Charm. So now we have 2 more layers of protection, and we have to hope that somehow this is good enough, because this is all we got. Replenish. Pretty great. Funnily enough, my Maya Coasts are gonna be doing some work here. We're gonna Vision Charm again, play my land, and say go. And now my opponent's gonna have 2 turns before I finish them off, which is going to be effectively more than enough. Most definitely more than enough. But we could get lucky. We could certainly get lucky. We'll need to get extremely lucky, but weirder things have happened. I assume at least. Would have been awesome to at any point have drawn Safekeeper. If at any point we had found Safekeeper, won very easily. I'm gonna Charm again. Hey, look at that. Okay, okay. We are cooking here, folks. We are cooking. Now my opponent effectively needs to put together a confinement lock. Elephant Grass is not going to cut it, and they're going to need a lot of disenchant effect. Oh, Parallax Wave Opalescence will do it though. So I guess it's pretty unlikely that we get there. Worship. That'll do. I guess I can get more info. Because I have not seen a single of the Shroud enchantment yet. So maybe my opponent's playing a different version. They already used the replenish. It's not a given that they have a second one. So I do get to gather some information here. Okay, there's the Sterling Grove. Second Serra Sanctum is very nice. Okay, they have Opal Wave now. Opal Wave actually gets around Safekeeper because they can do it infinitely. So now we're going to be on the play. Let's bring another library. Cut the Tutor. Days becomes a little bit more interesting. Not that much, to be honest. I mean, if only Divert messed with abilities as well as spells, I would be all over it in the matchup, but unfortunately, let's actually go for a Worldly Tutor here instead of Flash of Insight. I don't think I care enough about Powder Keg to blow up Enchantresses. Now we're on the play, no land. Man, this hand would have been insane. This one we'll keep. What do we bottom? I guess a land. Let's play Safekeeper, send it back. Love me some Safekeeper action. Unfortunately, I don't think I can afford to suck a land there. Definitely gonna counter this one. That's a reasonable pickup. Halfway there on the combo. Sanded Swarm. Yeah, that's a card. That is a card. Take that Portent. Portent myself. I really need to find another Safekeeper here. So I think I'm just going to keep this naturalized though. It's very valuable. But I'm going to Impulse now in response to this trigger. Funnily enough, Choke doesn't do anything here. Do I want another Flash or do I want another... I think I care about the raw cards, so I'm going to use Flash here. Enchantress's Presence, which we get to immediately naturalize. And now we're going to pass the turn. So here we'll Flash. Flash back, Flash. LOL. Flash for 3 is fine. Could maybe Flash for 2 to make sure the next Flash is still alive. But I kind of... That's an interesting one. Yeah, let's go with that one. So I guess this coming turn, I can go library into Safekeeper, replenish back the Enchantress Presence. Gotta do what you gotta do, I guess. So this doesn't do anything, so we're just going to cast the Sylvan library and cast the Safekeeper. So now my opponent's engine is online. Yeah, you definitely want to attack first. If we find the Dreadnought, we're gonna be in very good shape though. Seal of Cleansing, Opalescence, a little bit problematic. They immediately crack that. Makes sense. Impulse. Give me a Dreadnought. I can play this library. Man, this Flash of Insight has been stuck in our hand. So I guess I'm gonna take this library here and play it out. Oh my god, I just realized that I could have saved the library. I'm an idiot. Just realized I could have saved the library with Safekeeper. Ah, that's so stupid. I totally didn't think about it. Man, that's so brutal. Didn't even think about it. Well, I can do it now at least. So we'll take 3, and we really need to find a Phyrexian Dreadnought here. Untap. Let's see what we got. Nothing. Whole bunch of nothing. Oh man, that's so devastating. I just don't have time anymore, so we're just done here. Yeah, I just needed to find the Dreadnought. Okay, see, I guess I could still technically draw Naturalize to kill the Opalescence. So we are not dead yet. So let's just put this in any order and say yes. And we need to top deck exactly Naturalize. Ah, no. There was still a chance, which was kind of exciting, but unfortunately I'm dead now. Gonna Impulse here. Let's see if we can find... Yeah, you're too late, bro. Alright, GG's. That game 1 though, that was very exciting, but yeah, that games 2 and 3 didn't come together. See you for the next round. Here we are, on to the next round. This hand, probably not gonna cut it. This one looks better. What to bottom here is very interesting, because I can bottom the counterspell that's redundant, or I can bottom the Safekeeper. I think I'm going to bottom the counterspell, and obviously I'm going to, you know, try to look for a Dreadnought / land. We're playing against Elves. This is an interesting one. There's no Dreadnought there and no green source either, so we're just going to shuffle, and we're going to see if we can do better. Yeah, Maya Coast. Okay, that casts my Safekeeper at least. Really hope he didn't have a survival here. That is fine. Also no Cradle is a big deal. Take the 1 point. That is totally fine. Oh, that's a good draw. Yeah, we're doing that. We're gonna Vision Charm this bad boy and send the turn back. And we have Daze back up here. We have a Counterspell. This Acolyte may survive or not. We'll figure out soon enough. It does not. Let's see what Mike has going over there. It's very nice that we have Counterspell, Daze, we kind of have all the pieces together here. 4 mana for a Masticore. This seems worth dacing, especially after he already played his land drop. I think I'm just going to swing for 12 and then I'm not even gonna... Yeah, I'm just not gonna show them the Safekeeper. Just gonna send it turn back. There we go. On to game number 2. So we definitely want Curse Totem. We do not want Tempting Worm. Divert, Misdirection. I think those are not necessary. Sylvan Library is interesting. I think Safekeeper is gonna be pretty good. Maybe Powder Kegs. I don't want to overboard. I feel like it's very easy for me to overboard here. Let's bring in the Annals. Yeah, I don't think I want the Powder Kegs nor the Flash of Insight. I guess let's just cut both flashes. I don't think I'm gonna have time for that. This may be a little bit too aggressive, but I do feel like I kind of want that approach. I don't even know if I want the libraries. I feel like libraries are going to be too slow. The Naturalize seems a little bit too clunky. Misdirection, I guess, can allow me to like redirect a Naturalize or something. And Misdirection feels better than Divert here. Have like a 1-off library, maybe 2-off library here. This Tempting War have not been put in the work, actually. Let's go with Naturalize on the draw, and we will bring library on the play. What do we have here? We have a Vision Charm, we have 1 land, Counterspell, we're on the draw. I feel like I'm gonna mulligan this hand. This seems much better. So we're gonna keep this, and I think that I'm just gonna bottom the Worldly Tutor here. We can go turn 1 Safekeeper, hope to find a land, and if we do, we are gonna be in really good shape, because we just get to combo on turn 2 with double protection. If we miss a land drop, that's gonna suck, but there's the survival. And they go for a Llanowar Elf. Untap. Land? No land. No, right on time. I think I'm gonna Portent. I'm gonna look for a land. No land, so we're just gonna shuffle. Now we may be in a spot where maybe we are simply too slow. So I'm probably gonna need to take a turn off. I guess I can't even take a turn off, huh? Yeah, I can't even take a turn off to like drop a Curse Totem because my opponent can just get Uktabi. I guess if they miss a land drop, okay. Maybe we can do some stuff here. He can, however, go get Masticore, which would be quite brutal. But now he gets survival going. I feel like we would have probably won very easily had I hit my second land drop. I feel like we would have been able to raise my opponent fairly quickly. So if they miss a land drop, okay, that's huge. So now I can take this turn to drop a Curse Totem. So now with Totem, he needs to have exactly Naturalize in hand. If he does, obviously he gets out of this. So there we take 3. This is totally fine. Would love to find a land. Would really love to find a land, because if I find a land, I can have Dreadnought plus a null, I guess. Go get Quirion Ranger. Another Stifle is big game. Notably, Curse Totem blanks my Safekeeper as well. So I think I'm going to take this turn to opt. Look for another land. I guess I'm going to bottom that. I don't think we're going to have time. Okay, so we're going to take 4 damage this turn. Maybe I should have just dropped the Dreadnought. That's a Fiend Horn. Oh, well, that's a lot of mana. Tangled Wire. We can annul that. So if he goes to get Uktabi, we can daze it, which is pretty cool. That's a Morph, which we will daze. And I guess I'm going to trade with the Priest here, since this Curse Totem is stopping my thing from doing anything. So we untap. If I Dreadnought, my opponent just goes and gets Uktabi, so I need to just pass the turn here. We're going to be taking 4 points of damage. Oh, but they can just go... Yeah, I'm just kind of dead here, because they can now go get Deranged Hermit. I'm really in the lookout for a land. There's Survival. There's Deranged Hermit, which we will counter. But now we go to 5. And now we're in very bad shape. Just don't have enough mana. I mean, I'm gonna make him do it, but everything was good until he top decked that Cradle. But yeah, now he just survivals for the Orangutan and then just plays it, and then we Tribal Force Mage. Yeah, I guess that's another way. Like, it doesn't really matter. All roads lead to Rome here. This is classier, I guess. This one's fancier. On to game number 3. We did see Tangle Wire. Let's cut the Naturalize, and let's bring another library. Gonna be on the play, and we're gonna keep this hand, I think. We're looking for a green source, we're looking for a Dreadnought, we have an Annul as an answer to survival, we have a Safekeeper which we can drop early as protection. Impulse also can help us find what we're missing. Opponent on a Mole to 6. Okay, let's say Abimaya Coast. I think I'm okay with that, so let's go Coast, up, no shuffle. and send the turn back. So this gives me the option of shuffling away the second coast or not, depending on what my opponent does. But I think I'm going to spend this turn to just drop the Sylvan Safekeeper and just pass the turn back, leaving up a null, or opt, depending on what happens. Symbiote, Cradle, pretty good. Priest, also pretty good. But no payoff yet, so that's good. I think we're just going to bottom the Yavimaya coast. That's a better land to have drawn. Guess we play Library and send the turn back. Maybe I should have just held up Impulse. Hopefully their payoff here is Survival, which is something that I get to annul. Morph. Okay, it makes a lot of mana and just drops a Hermit. Yeah, this is exactly what I didn't want to happen. This is obviously the worst case scenario, because this just raises me. Like, this is gonna make more Squirrel tokens than I can Dreadnought quickly enough. So this is also a Force Mage for the looks of it. So yeah, this was one turn too late. Don't think this does anything for me. I think I'm just dead here. So let's hope to find the Dreadnought. Doesn't even do it. I'm just dead. Man, we have a lot of cantrips and we have a lot of the tutors too, but we just have not been able to to find our pieces reliably enough. That's pretty unfortunate. Anyway, see you for the next round. I think we are on to round number 5 now. This hand is a little bit too land heavy. Let's ship that. This looks better. We definitely need to find the land, but if we do, we're going to be in really good shape. Bottoming the redundant library there. Let's see what we're up against. Sligh. Okay. So if we find the land, we should be able to pretty much win. Sligh cannot beat it. It cannot raise a turn to Dreadnought. Take 1. That sounds okay to me. Land, please? No. Okay, so if we turn 3 this Dreadnought, we should still be able to raise. But if we play the Dreadnought on turn 4, then we may be a little bit too late. Bolt Lightning. So we're gonna take 7, down to 9. We still have counter spells, so we may be able to get there. No land. So we're just gonna discard the Sylvan library so I can basically hide what I'm playing. Maybe my opponent won't think that I'm on Dreadnought, but at this point I cannot race this Lavamancer plus 4 cards in hand, so I don't think we can win anymore. I still think it was a fine keep, second Lavamancer. Okay, so this means that I can't win. Okay, perfect. So let's just concede. Let's go on to the next game, and against Burn. We want, obviously, Blue Elemental Blast. We want Hydroblast. Finally, Tempting Worm. Welcome. Cut these Sylvan libraries. I like Misdirection. I like Divert. And I think that's it. Could cut the Flash of Insights. I don't think that we need to play something like this. Sylvan Safekeeper is probably not necessary, right? Yeah. I'm just going to cut them and have, I guess, a null. Naturalize. Let's have a null. One of these. Yeah, let's go with that. Let's see if we can find our land number 2 here. Yeah, okay. So let's start by portenting Tempting Worm. So we can get rid of 2 of these. So I want to get rid of the land, I think. So let's go and discover Paradise, Vision, Charm, and Tempting Worm and not shuffle. So on turn 2, we're going to just play the Tempting Worm. And then what we can do is on our next upkeep, we can opt in response. They're ahead on mana now, but I have a 5/5. Incinerate face. Okay, so they don't go after the worm. They could have killed the worm right there if they wanted to. Instead, they went face. Bolt Lightning. I think I'll just take 6 here. And then I'll untap, and I'm going to opt on my upkeep so I get to bottom the land. Draw another land. Yikes. Okay. Maybe we're onto something here. 5, yeah. Kind of unfortunate that we have infinite painless sources here. Painful sources, I mean. 2 mana 5/5 is no joke though. So now we untap. I think we want to opt. I really want to find some sort of counter magic. Impulse is not it. I guess I'm gonna play the land, but I'm not stoked about it. We're going to swing for 5. I think we're just gonna get raised here, unfortunately for me. This Grim Lavamancer is gonna kill us. Too many painful sources. I don't think I can cast this Impulse. Yeah, this, I mean, it's just, this mana base is just pretty much non-functional. It sucks, but, I mean, this is why you don't see Blue-Green Dreadnought putting results basically ever. It's not really the creature suite or anything like that. It really is just the mana. Maybe my opponent's got nothing? That seems incredibly unlikely. Okay. They just slow rolling a little bit, or Yeah, this is just wrong. They should have just immediately gone for it or done it on my upkeep. Like waiting for combat gives me one more look at potentially finding an answer. On to the last round. This is an interesting hand. I think I'm gonna keep it. We have good clean mana. We have double impulse. Would have liked it better if this were one of the 1 mana cantrips, but the double counterspell makes me somewhat content with this card. Opponent on a move to 5. Let's hope it's not some sort of all-in combo deck, because that would suck. Basic planes and nothing else. We're definitely not telling them much. Okay, we're gonna take a Vision Charm here. Do I play that? Yeah, I guess I'm gonna play that. I can just sacrifice this basic forest if my opponent wants to mess with my Safekeeper. So sack the forest, Thistle the Source to Plowshares. Pretty clean. Red. It's gonna be Pyroclasm. Nature's Lore. Okay, gonna let that go. Goblin Bombardment. Okay, this seems like it's worth countering. I don't know what that's gonna do, but when my game plan is to leverage this little guy, I think it's good to get rid of Bombardment card. Man, this is some wild stuff over there. Ray of Revelation. That's fine though, that's fine. Another counter spell. I mean, this is kind of the issue, right? We would have Gush instead of Sylvan Library if we were playing just regular form of Dreadnought. Let's find a Dreadnought here. Hey, there we go. And with triple layer of protection, I think I'm pretty happy just slamming this right now. Let's do this here. No attacks because my opponent could be playing Decree of Justice. I have no idea what my opponent's up to over there, but whatever we have is good enough. Nature's Lore. This instead of Rampant Growth in the 3-color deck. That's a very interesting statement. Super interesting. So I think I want to play whatever we're playing against. We will probably want to have access to Naturalizes. I don't think we want Tempting Worms. And I don't think we want Sylvan Libraries either. Blue Elemental Blast for potential Hydroblasts. Sounds a little bit sketchy. Let's go with this and let's see where we can take it. This hand seems pretty good. It's got a lot of the stuff that we're looking for. Namely our cantrips, our Sylvan Safekeeper, and Worldly Tutor is a Dreadnought with delay. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to stifle this land. Top these two, and I think I want the land and the Vision Charm. Opponent gets a basic forest. Wooded Foothills, Bombardment. Just gonna daze here. There's the Vision Charm. And I think I'm gonna spend this turn to just get my Dreadnought. Call of the Herd. Can raise this. So let's make sure we find our Dreadnought here, but we're not going to cast it because we'll be casting Safekeeper this turn. No blocks, of course. If they're just flashing back Call of the Herd, yeah, this looks pretty good for us. So now we get to opt. I don't think I want a cantrip. Worldly Tutor seems quite bad here, unfortunately, but it's okay. So let's go Dreadnought into Stifle, send the turn back, and now we'll see what my opponent has going on. Rampant Growth, that's totally fine. Another Rampant Growth. Do I want to go get another Safekeeper? I don't think so, because just Safekeeper is going to... like, my opponent's not going to target anything that's not the Dreadnought, so get another Safekeeper just doesn't really do anything. Another land is great, though, because that's another protection for the Dreadnought. Here, we just swing for 12, and even Wrath of God we don't care about, because we just Vision Charm my dude. Vision Charm plus Disenchant would be bad. Is this just... like Goblin Bombardment plus Decree of Justice deck? Is that what my opponent's cooking with? Because that's pretty creative. So far, I mean, this Bombardment would have been good though. Opponent's not attacking. Let's Impulse here, looking for Stifle, I guess. If my opponent does indeed have a Cycler, they can only make 5 blockers, so they can't really do anything. So I guess... yeah, I'm just gonna get an opt and just opt. We can get another Dreadnought, and we already have Vision Charm in hand, so it's bottom Safekeeper, get a land, counterspell. Okay, perfect. So I think we should be good to go here. If they're just triple blocking, this is just game. So they do just triple block. All right, there we go. 2-4, not a great record, but we're gonna be discussing all this stuff that we learned. All right, there we go. Once again, thank you so much, James, for sponsoring this league. And now that we have finished it, we can decompress a little bit of what we learned through it. The first thing that I want to say is that Sylvan Library is not Gush. It became really apparent in this league. It was very often super awkward to tap out for this when we wanted to hold up counterspell. That was like a substantial issue. The mana base is so much worse than on any other version of Dreadnought. it's just like, this is the big issue. I mean, all of these cards are very strong, and Safekeeper proved to be quite good. It really proved to be really, really strong alongside UG Dreadnought. The problem is the mana base is just prohibitively just bad. It just doesn't function. It puts you in a spot where you cannot play as many islands as you wish. You cannot play as many, green sources as you wish either. So you are in a spot where you kind of want to find your green sources, but you're also taking a ton of damage from them, which ended up being quite problematic in multiple situations. Just like the fact that all of my green sources were painful, with the exception of specifically Undiscovered Paradise, made it so even when I was paired against Sligh, which is, you would think that it would be a good matchup in paper, and I assume that it is. But even after that, like, the fact that my mana base was so much worse due to all the pain that I was taking from City of Brasses, and the fact that I could not cast Worldly Tutor without taking damage, it ended up being very, very troublesome in the end. With all that stuff in mind, it really just immediately discards the deck from being good when we have to do all of this work in order to make the mana work, and even still, it's not good enough, and it has way too many downsides. So even though I do understand and I did like the idea of Safekeeper, I feel like we cannot really do it in a way like this. What I think that we can try, however, is a context like the mana base that is worked out in the GW decks. I think that you could play like a GW Dreadnought, like I think Lani was working on this at one point, and then you add a little bit of a stronger leaning on green for Sylvan Safekeeper specifically, because I did like this interaction quite a bit. Besides this, the one-off creatures, even with the Worldly Tutors, the one-off creatures just didn't quite cut it. Water from Bouncer was just surprisingly the best one, and Tempting Warp was quite disappointing. It just felt like it was doing the same thing as the Dreadnought, so it didn't really help us. What I mean by this is it didn't attack from a different angle. It basically attacked in the same angle, except it was obviously like a little bit more efficient at the cost of, requiring to take damage in order to cast this in the first place. So I did not like that angle. Safekeeper, as I just said, I did like, and then the Bouncer did come up and was quite good, and Drake was not quite, we just never drew it, but I think that all of these are reasonable. It's just the Tempting Worm that we don't need this effect. We have a much better version of that effect, so the redundancy wasn't necessarily welcome. Besides that, it was, we only have a limited amount of counter spells to protect our Dreadnought, which made our going for it a little bit riskier than I would have liked. But that part, it was not really the biggest hit. The biggest hits were the mana base and the lack of Gush. Like, Sylvan Library is just not a replacement for Gush. And I say this as the biggest lover of Sylvan Library in the Premodern format, but it's just not quite for this deck. Like, tapping out on your own second turn and then just getting it destroyed, it's absolutely backbreaking. So, not into that at all. Flash of Insight was also super awkward to cast, and the fact that we cannot really, it all comes back to the mana base, right? Like, just the awkwardness of the mana and the pain that we took from the mana base. It meant that we just never really had the time to cast Flash of Insight. So using these as a replacement again for a card like Gush simply doesn't cut it, unfortunately. I was very, very sad that we never drew Divert nor Misdirection in the matchups where we wanted them. I'm a little bit sad about that, but it is what it is. We only play 6 matches here, so you can't get all the testing in there in a very, very short amount of time. But yeah, that's going to be it for me. Thank you so much for watching, folks. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And once again, if you would like to support my content, you can do so by donating so I can play any deck list of your choice, just like this one. Once again, thank you so much, James. And you can also support me through Patreon. So all that stuff the information is going to be in the description of the video down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Take care and bye-bye.